This is the Victorinox Super Tinker. It's a 3-layer Swiss Army knife with the American flag Celador scales. So I think these are available in both red and the American flag, which I went ahead and picked up this. It was at a show and I picked it up. So really at 3 layers, it's kind of the perfect size for still carrying in your pocket. Once you get up into 4 and 5 layer knives, it gets a little cumbersome to carry in your pocket. For example, this Explorer, I hang off my belt loop with a carabiner, and this Cyber tool and the Swiss Champ, both I carry in pouches accordingly. You get more tools than you're going to get with, say, a 2-layer knife like the Spartan or the Compact, though you get a lot in that Compact, I'll admit. But back to the Super Tinker. This is a great combination of tools that you can use every day. So there's some pros and some cons to this particular Victorinox, and I'm going to go through the pros, which is basically all the features, and then I'll tell you a couple of the cons. So first, let's just go through the tool set. You have the standard blade length for the 91mm. By the way, this is the 91mm length. So the standard pen blade, and they stay sharp as long as you keep them sharp. You got to sharpen these. It's got that standard Victorinox proprietary stainless steel for the blade. It's a little outdated with today's knife steel technology, but you keep it sharp and it's a good cutting knife. It does what it does. Don't pry with it though. Here we have the smaller blade that sometimes is featured in a lot of these size of knives, and really good to keep this little guy like really sharp if you want to beat up on that bigger one a little bit, but then still would need a really sharp knife. It's nice to keep that one really sharp. On the other side, you have the standard tools to most Victorinoxes, one being this combination tool that is a can opener. Now, these can openers are kind of interesting. I have a long, kind of complicated history with these. I often have been criticized in my Swiss Army knife videos for not using this appropriately. If I'm going forward, people tell me I'm supposed to be going backward. If I go backward, people tell me I'm supposed to be going forward. I do tend to struggle with it, but every once in a while I'll get in a groove and I'll get some stuff open. So I used it to open this can of chili beans and this can of Rotel. Then, of course, at the tip of the can opener, we have this small flathead screwdriver. I believe that is 3mm worth of screwdriver. On the other side, the other standard Victorinox tool, the combination cap lifter and flathead screwdriver. So that's a 6mm with the little wire stripper there, of course, standard to most Victorinoxes. Now to get into something that is unique to the Super Tinker and an added tool that you don't get with a regular Tinker is the Victorinox scissors. And these are really great scissors. They always work as long as you don't beat up on them too hard. But just like, say, everyday plastic, paper, they work well. They're self-sharpening and they do the job. So the Victorinox scissors, standard to the 91mm. So that's all the tools on this side. Flipping over to the back, one of the standard tools that comes with a lot of Victorinox is the reamer awl or sewing awl. Comes in pretty handy. I've used them to drill holes in wood, to ream things, and if I need to sew something heavy duty like leather, I have the sewing eyelet there. Then here we have the hook tool. So I like the hook tools. I think they're cool. They're just something unique to these Victorinoxes. Some people don't seem to like them. I really do. They're really good if you want to wrap something like a bunch of books or a bunch of logs in some paracord, and then use this as a handle to carry it. It works well for that. And you can find other uses for these as well. Now, a standard addition to the Tinker and the Super Tinker is the Phillips screwdriver in the slot where the corkscrew goes on a lot of other Victorinoxes. So, like for example, this Spartan here. So, you get a screwdriver instead of a corkscrew, so if you want to open your wine bottles, you're out of luck, but you can turn screws. Now here we get into some of the disadvantages, because this being a T-style handle like this does prevent you from using it in certain geometries, certain situations, which is kind of frustrating. If you're carrying this with you and it's like, say, a bracket on a door frame or something like that where you are going to hit things, sometimes you can manipulate it around and get kind of creative and still get in there and hit that sweet spot, but for sometimes you just can't. You can't get it in there. And that's why I do consider it a con, because I like the inline Victorinox Phillips screwdrivers. Even the inline, you can flip it to the 90 degree if you need to get on it with some torque. But that's one of the limitations of the T-handle, is just the space geometry. It is good if you need to really dig in on something and use some torque, but it is what it is. I mean, it does come in handy in a lot of cases. One of the things too I will mention is down here in these particular types of scales, there is the small little slot for the push pin. And sometimes these Victorinox won't come with the push pin, but will have the scales for them. I can't remember if this one came with it or not, or if I added it, but it's got a push pin. Then standard to most of these is the plastic toothpick and the tweezers, which these come in pretty handy a lot. So that's pretty much it. The Super Tinker comes in handy. It's a great little multi-tool and a nice Swiss Army knife. So if you're really into Swiss Army knives or Victorinoxes or just EDC knives and tools in general, I recommend going ahead and subscribing and hitting that thumbs up. And I've also recently created a Victorinox playlist. I have lots, I mean probably at least 15 Victorinox videos. So if you just want to go through that playlist and check out a bunch of awesome Swiss Army knives, so check out that playlist. Until next time, later.